with joined palms, the Almighty Mahavishnu, Supreme Master of all rulers of the universe, smiled and spoke to them in a voice full of solemn authority. Lord Mahavishnu said, I brought the Brahmana's sons here because I want to see the two of you, my expansions, who have descended to the earth to save the principles of religion. As soon as you finish killing the demons who burden the earth, quickly come back here to me. Although all your desires are completely fulfilled, O best of exalted personalities, for the benefit of the people in general, you should continue to exemplify religious behavior at the sages Nara and Narayan. Thus instructed by the Supreme Lord of the topmost planet, Krishna and Arjuna assented by chanting Om, and then they bowed down to the Almighty Lord Mahavishnu. Taking the Brahmana's sons with them, they returned with great delight to Dwarka by the same path along which they came. There they presented the Brahmana with his sons, who were in the same infant bodies in which they had been lost. So, just for everyone's knowledge, if it has a white dot next to it, there is no purport, but if it has a green dot next to it, there is a purport. So if you read one and you see a green dot, that's a purport. So think of which verse you want to say purport. So I'm going to read this purport. Purport by the disciples of Srila Prabhupada. As explained by Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti, the secret import of these words spoken for Arjuna's edification is as follows. You too, who have descended along with your kalas, your personal energies, should kindly return to me after killing the demons who burden the earth. Please quickly send these demons here to me for the sake of their liberation. It is stated in the Sri Harivamsha and in the second canto of Srimad Bhagavatam that the path of gradual liberation passes through the intermediate station of Lord Mahavishnu's abode outside the eighth shell of the universe. Okay, and I'm going to just pass the mic around.
Text 62. Having seen the domain of Lord Vishnu, Arjuna was totally amazed. He concluded that whatever extraordinary power a person exhibits can only be a manifestation of Sri Krishna's mercy. Lord Krishna exhibited many other similar heroic pastimes in this world. He apparently enjoyed the pleasures of ordinary human life, and he performed greatly potent fire sacrifices. The Lord having demonstrated his supremacy at suitable times, he showered down all desirable things on the Brahmanas and his other subjects, just as Indra pours down his rain. Now that he had killed many wicked kings and engaged devotees, such as Arjuna in killing others, the Lord could easily assure the execution of religious principles through the agency of such pious rulers as Yudhishthira, 65. Purport. Thus.
Yeah.
Okay. Thus end the purports of the humble servants of His Divine Grace, V.C. Bhagavad Swami Prabhupada, to the 10th canto, 89th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam. Entitled Krishna and Arjuna, Greek of Brahmanas.
I guess it doesn't work for the last verse. Alright, I'll spin maybe chapter 97. I think this is the last one, right? Last chapter?
89?
Or 90?
Yeah, 90.
Summary of Lord Krishna's glories. This chapter describes how Lord Krishna enjoyed with his queens in the lakes of Dwarka. It also relates to queens' ecstatic prayers in the mood of intense separation from him, and summarizes the Lord's pastimes. Lord Sri Krishna continued to reside in the opulent capital of Dwarka, together with the Yadus and with his queens. He would enjoy sporting with his wives in the ponds on the palace grounds, squirting water on them with a syringe and being squirted in turn. With his graceful gestures, loving words, and sidelong glances, he would enchant their hearts. In this way, the queens would become totally absorbed in thoughts of him. Sometimes after playing with the Lord in the water, they would address various creatures. Closer. They would address various creatures. Kurari and Chakravata birds, the ocean, the moon, a cloud, a cuckoo, a mountain, a river, and so on, declaring their great attachment to Lord Krishna on the pretext of commiserating with these creatures. Lord Krishna begot 10 sons in the womb of each of his queens. Among these sons, Pradyumna was foremost, being equal to his father in all transcendental qualities. Pradyumna married Rukmi's daughter, and from her womb Aniruddha was born. Aniruddha then married Rukmi's granddaughter and begot Vajra, who was the only Yadu prince to survive the battle of the iron clubs at Prabhasa. From Vajra descended the remainder of the Yadu dynasty, beginning with Praptihu. The members of the Yadu dynasty are virtually innumerable. Indeed, just to educate their children, the Yadus employed 38,800,000 teachers. Before Lord Krishna appeared, many demons took birth in human families to harass the people of the world and destroy Brahminical culture. To subdue them, the Lord ordered the demigods to descend in the Yadu dynasty, which then expanded into 101 clans. All of the Yadus recognized Sri Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead and had unflinching faith in him. While resting, eating, walking, and so on, which they often did, in his company, they would forget their own bodies and their transcendental happiness. The 10th canto concludes with this promise of success for the sincere hearer. By regularly hearing, chanting, and meditating on the beautiful topics of the Lord Mukunda, with ever-increasing sincerity, a mortal being will attain the divine kingdom of the Lord, where the inviolable power of death holds no sway.
Text 1 through
7. Shukdev Goswami said, the master of the goddess of fortune resided happily in his capital city Dwarka, which was endowed with all opulences and pervaded by the most eminent Vrishnis and gorgeously dressed wives. When these beautiful women in the bloom of youth would play on the city's rooftops with balls and other toys, they shone like flashing lightning. The main streets of cities were always crowded with intoxicated elephants exuding Mada, and also cavalry richly adorned, infantrymen and soldiers riding chariots brilliantly decorated with gold. Gracing the city, there were many gardens and parks with rows of flowering trees where bees and birds would gather, filling in all directions with songs. Lord Krishna was the sole beloved of his 16,000 wives, expressing himself into that many forms. He enjoyed with each of his queens in her own richly furnished residence. On the grounds of these palaces were clear ponds fragrant with the pollen of blooming Utpala, Kahalara, Kumuda and Ambocha lotuses, and filled with flocks of cooing birds. The Almighty Lord would enter those ponds and also various rivers, and enjoy sporting in the water while his wives embraced him, leaving the red kumkuma from the breasts smeared on his body. One rule of poetic composition practiced by the Vaishnava authors is Madhurena Samapya. A literary work should conclude in the mood of a special sweetness. Srila Shukdev Goswami, the most tasteful narrator of transcendental topics, has accordingly included in his last chapter of the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam a description of Lord Krishna's water sports in the attractive setting of Dwarka, followed by the rapturous praise of the Lord's queens.
As Gandharvas joyfully sang his praises to the accompaniment of mridanga, bandava, and anaka drums, and as professional reciters known as sutas, bhagatas, and bandis played vinas and recited poems praising him, Lord Krishna would play with his wives in the water. Laughing, the queens would squirt water on him with syringes, and he would squirt them back. Thus Krishna would sport with his queens in the same way that the Lord of the Yakshas sports with the Yakshi nymphs. Under the dress clothing of the queens, their thighs and breasts would become visible. The flowers tied in their large braids would scatter as they sprayed water on their consort. And the plea of trying to take away his syringe, they would embrace him. By his touch, their lusty feelings would increase, causing their faces to beam with smiles. Thus would Krishna's queens shone with resplendent beauty. Lord Krishna's flower garland would become smeared with kumkum from their breasts, and his abundant locks of hair would become disheveled as a result of his absorption in the game. As the Lord repeatedly sprayed his young consorts and they sprayed him in turn, he enjoyed himself like the king of elephants, enjoying in the company of his bevy of she-elephants.
Text 12. Afterward, Lord Krishna and his wives would give the ornaments and clothing they had owned during their water sports to the male and female performers, who earned their livelihood from singing and from playing instrumental music. In this way, Lord Krishna would sport with his queens, totally captivating their hearts with his gestures, talks, glances and smiles, and also with his jokes, playfully exchanged and embraces. The queen would become stunned in ecstatic trance, their mind absorbed in Krishna alone. Then thinking of their lotus-eyed Lord, they would speak as if insane. Please hear these words from me as I relate them. Text 15. The queen said, O Kurari bird, you are lamenting. Now it is night, and somewhere in this world the Supreme Lord asleep in a hidden place. But you are wide awake, O friend, unable to fall asleep. Is it that, like us, you have had your heart pierced to the core by the lotus-eyed Lord's beneficent, playful, smiling glances?
So 14 or 15?
15. Sri Vishwanath Chakravarti explains that the transcendental madness, unmada, of the queens filled them with such ecstasy that they saw their own mood reflected in everyone and everything else. Here they point out to the Kurari bird, whom they take to be sorrowing over separation from Lord Krishna, that if the Lord actually had any concern for her or themselves, he would not be sleeping comfortably at that moment. They warn the Kurari not to expect Krishna to hear her lamentation and show some mercy. In case the Kurari might think that Krishna is sleeping with his queens, they deny this by saying that he is a Gupta Bodha. His whereabouts are unknown to them. He is out in the world somewhere this night, but they have no idea where to go looking for him. Dear bird, they cry. Even though you are a simple creature, your heart has been deeply pierced, just like ours. You must have had some contact then with our Krishna. What keeps you from giving up your hopeless attachment to him? Thank you.
Poor Chakravati, even after closing your eyes, you continue to cry pitifully through the night for your unseen mate. Or is it that, like us, you have become the servant of Achyuta and hanker to wear in your braided hair the garland he has blessed with the touch of his feet? Dear ocean, you are always roaring, not sleeping at night. Are you suffering insomnia? Or is it that, as with us, Mukunda has taken your insignias and you are hopeless of retrieving them? My dear moon, having contracted a severe case of tuberculosis, you have become so emaciated that you fail to dispel the darkness with your rays. Or is it that you appear dumbstruck because, like us, you cannot remember the encouraging promises Mukunda once made to you? O Malayan breeze, what have we done to displease you, so that you stir up lust in our hearts? which have already been shattered by Govinda's sidelong glances. O revered cloud, you are indeed very dear to the chief of the Yadavas, who bears the mark of Srivasa. Like us, you are bound to him by love and are meditating upon him. Your heart is distraught with great eagerness, as our hearts are. And as you remember him again and again, you shed a torrent of tears. Association with Krishna brings such misery.
What?
17 or 20?
17.
This one.
Okay, I'll go with 21.
You do both. If there is this.
Purport by Srila Prabhupada. The Acharyas explain this verse as follows. The cloud acts as the friend of Lord Krishna by shielding him from the scorching rays of the sun, and certainly such an earnest well-wisher of the Lord must constantly meditate on him with concern for his welfare. Although the cloud shades the Lord's blue complexion, it is Lord Krishna's distinctive features, such as his Srivasa mark, that especially attract him to this meditation. But what is the result? Simply unhappiness. The cloud is depressed and thus constantly shed tears on the pretext of raining. So the queens advise him, it would be better for you not to take much interest in Krishna.
Just the 7 and a half is 70 years. Yes, we can do this.
Purport by Srila Prabhupada.
Disciples of Srila Prabhupada, not Krishna.
Purport by disciples of Srila Prabhupada. Srila Sridhar Swami states that Lord Krishna's queens here confuse the sea surrounding Dwaraka with the celestial ocean of milk, from which Lakshmi and the Kaustubha gem arose long ago. These were taken apahruta by Lord Vishnu, and they now reside on his chest. The queens presume that the ocean is anxious to see once again the mark of Lakshmi's residence and the Kaustubha jewel on the Lord's chest. And they express their sympathy by saying that they also want to see these Kunkuma marks on the Lord's chest, which he took from their breast when they last embraced him. Thank you, Mataji.
Text 21. O sweet-throated cuckoo, in a voice that could revive the dead, you are vibrating the same sounds we once heard from our beloved, the most pleasing of speakers. Please tell me what I can do today to please you. O magnanimous mountain, you neither move nor speak. You must be pondering some matter of great importance. Or do you, like us, desire to hold on your breasts the feet of Vasudev's darling son? O rivers, wives of the ocean, your pools have now dried up. Alas, you have shriveled to nothing, and your wealth of lotuses have vanished. Are you then, like us, who are withering away because of not receiving the affectionate glance of our dear husband, the Lord of Mahu, who has cheated our hearts? Welcome, swan. Please sit here and drink some milk. Give us some news of the descendants of Sudha. Dear one, we know you are his messenger. Is that invincible Lord doing well? And does that unreliable friend of ours still remember the words he spoke to us long ago? Why should we go and worship him? O servant of a petty master, go tell him who fulfills our desires to come here without the goddess of fortune. Is she the only one exclusively devoted to him? Sukadeva Goswami said, by thus speaking and acting with such ecstatic love for Lord Krishna, the master of all masters of mystic yoga, his loving wives attained the ultimate goal of life.
Pick your favorite.
Oh gosh. I'm stuck between the first one and the last one.
Arrows.
Cuckoo.
Oh, let's do both.
Okay.
As Srila Visvanath Chakravarti explains, though the song of a cuckoo is very pleasant, Lord Krishna's wives perceive it as painful because it reminds them of their beloved Krishna and exacerbates their pain of separation. According to Acharya Sri Jiva Goswami, here Sukadeva Goswami uses the present tense of the word kriyamanena to indicate that the Lord's queens attained his eternal abode immediately, without delay. By this insight, the Acharya helps refute the false notion that after Lord Krishna's departure from this world, some primitive cowherds kidnapped his wives while they were under the protection of Arjuna.
Hey, kidnapped queens. Where's the wives? Kidnapped queens. What is the wives? You said wives.
Oh, cowherds kidnapped his queens while they were under the protection of Arjuna. In fact, as the self-realized Vaishnava commentators elsewhere explain, Lord Krishna himself appeared in the guise of the thieves who abducted the queens. For further information on the subject, see Srila Prabhupada's purport to Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 15, Verse 20. Srila Viswanath Chakravarti remarks that the supreme goal attained by these exalted women was not the liberation of the impersonal yogis, but the perfect state of Prama Bhakti, pure loving devotion. Indeed, since they were already imbued with divine love of God from the very beginning, they possessed transcendental bodies of eternity, knowledge and bliss, in which they were fully able to relish the pleasure of reciprocating from the Supreme Lord in his most intimate, sweet pastimes. Specifically, in the opinion of Srila Viswanath Chakravarti, their love of God matured into the ecstasy of madness and pure love, bhavon mada, just as the gopis' love did when Krishna disappeared from their midst during the Ras dance. At that time, the gopis experienced the full development of ecstatic madness, which they expressed in their inquiries from the various creatures of the forest, and such words as Krishna aham pasyata gatim, I am Krishna, just see how gracefully I move. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 30, Verse 19, no purport. Similarly, the vilas, or flourishing transformation of the ecstatic love of Lord Dvarakadisha's principal queens has produced the Prema Vaichitra symptoms they have exhibited here. Hare Krishna.
The Lord, whom countless songs glorify in countless ways, forcibly attracts the minds of all women who simply hear about him. What to speak then of those women who see him directly? And how could one possibly describe the great austerities that have been performed by the women who perfectly served him, the spiritual master of the universe, in pure ecstatic love? Thinking of him as their husband, they rendered such intimate services as massaging his feet. Thus, observing the principles of duty enunciated in the Vedas, Lord Krishna, the goal of saintly devotees, repeatedly demonstrated how one can achieve at home the objectives of religiosity, economic development, and regulated sense gratification. While fulfilling the highest standards of religious householder life, Lord Krishna maintained more than 16,100 wives. Among these jewel-like women were 8 principal queens headed by Rukmini. I have already described them one after another, O king, along with their sons.
No proof. The Supreme Lord Krishna, whose endeavor never fails, begot 10 sons and each of his many wives. Among these sons, all possessing unlimited valor, 18 were Maharathas of great renown. Now hear their names from me. They were Pradhumna, Aniruddha, Diptiman, Bhanu, Samba, Madhu, Brihad Bhanu, Chitra Bhanu, Vrika, Aruna, Pushkar, Vedabahu, Shrutadeva, Sunandana, Chitrabahu, Virupa, Kavi, and Nyagrodha. O best of kings, of these sons begotten by Krishna, the enemy of Madhu, the most prominent was Rukmini's son Pradhumna. He was just like his father. In the opinion of Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti, the Aniruddha mentioned here is Lord Krishna's son, not his well-known grandson through Pradhumna.
Okay, so we have two online readers. Do we get oxygen? Just text 36.
Great warrior Arjuna married Rukmini's daughter Rukmavati, gave birth to Aniruddha. 1,000 elephants. Rukmi's daughter's son Aniruddha married Rukmi's son's daughter Rochana. From her was born Vajra, who would remain among the few survivors of the Yadu's battle with clubs. From Vajra came Pratibahu, whose son was Subahu. Subahu's son was Santasena, from whom Satasena was born. No one born in this family was poor in wealth or progeny, short-lived, weak, or neglectful of Brahminical culture. The Yadu dynasty produced innumerable great men of famous deeds. Even in tens of thousands of years, O king, one could never count them all.
Hare Krishna, thank you. There are no purports. And then, Vidhi, are you able to read? Maybe you're driving, yeah.
Sorry, I'm driving.
Yeah, okay. So yeah, we can move on to takeaways. I like, there was one purport where it was described that great poets, the way they go about it is they end it by something sweet. So this is Shukadeva Goswami ending Krishna's pastimes with sweet things, and I thought that was a nice point.
My takeaway or what I enjoyed is just reading this pastime and seeing how seeing how the queens and Krishna, how they're creating this pastime and how the queens are just completely invested and consumed by Krishna. And yeah.
And the association with Krishna is misery. That's the biggest mystery in our life. So, according to these exalted devotees like the gopis, they can only see Krishna and talk to him and describe him like that. Now, the gopis don't like the color black, because the black reminds them of Krishna. And Krishna always disappears from them and gives them trouble, maybe in front of them. So, only gopis can know. We can't see Krishna, you're black, I don't see because giving. We don't have that much love for Krishna yet, but this level of the devotees have it and they can speak like this. So it's good that we can read and relish. And we have to remember Krishna always. Hare Krishna.
Mine would probably be reading from the section when Krishna is sporting with his wives. They are driven to madness. So it's that level where once again, and the disciples of Sri Prabhupada also explained it, they achieved the highest perfection, the pure love for Krishna. And also water guns are approved in Shastra. So next time we go to the beach, we need to get some water guns.
In one of the purports, it is said that the queens were abducted by bandits. Even in that situation, Krishna expanded to him as the bandits. Never heard of this sort of history.
I was going to say the same thing, Prabhu. That part with the bandits, because that part really did surprise me as well. I'd always heard the part about Arjuna failed to the bandits and all the queens got kidnapped, but I never made the connection. I never heard the connection. So it's cool to see that, kind of like see the full view.
Now, one of the verses I read was talking about how Krishna set examples for things. And it said also in there, he set an example for sense gratification as well. So sense gratification is there in this practice and everything, but it's all regulated and it's all focused around Krishna. So it's not that it's not so dry and unenjoyable. It's there and we need it. We can't go without it in a regulated fashion. That's good.
I like one point where I think the gopis were saying that is like the goddess of fortune, your only wife, or the only girl who cares about you, or something like that. I thought that was like...
It was like 23%.
Yeah. So their like remarks about Krishna were like really amazing. I really like so creative, I think.
So the gopis are saying that no one likes Krishna except us. Is it?
Like,
No,
they're saying that like
Oh,
we also like you. Why do you only care about one girl? Is she the only woman excused to be devoted to him?
Is she the only woman excused to be devoted to him?
She is
Transcendental sass.
who's she?
God's fortune.
Fortune.
Divya Mataji, do you have a takeaway?
I was reading the about Krishna's sunset, how his son Pradyumna is just like his father.
Oh yeah.
That's all, Mataji.
Thank you, Mataji. So in terms of announcements,
I'm processing everything. I really have nothing that comes right to my mind.
That's good.
Yeah, like I go home, I think about this, and then, I get my takeaways.
Yeah, and sometimes it just comes out. Sometimes a little, this was just going on back and forth. It's nice, yeah. Good, good.
yes, all good.
All good. Alright, so, what the notes was there? The reading notes? The Zoom meeting?
No, it just says you can do AI notes.
I know. Now that every Zoom meetings we have for, automatically notes summary. Just good. Okay, yes. Okay, next one.
Yes, we can do bunch of call for prayers.
Super soaker.
You know they used to have the picture in Alachua?
I know, the big one where the
The big one, and they
Yeah.
described that faster.
I know.